thine own self be true. Welcome back to another episode of The Maturity Project. I'm the host with that 80s type sitcom intro. It's Chad. Chad Everett Broshears. No, also for some, search Chad Everett Broshears. So, all right. Today, it just came to me really, and this is what I absolutely love about just like the way I perceive things is I'm not an optimist, a pessimist, or a realist. I oscillate based off of my desire to outcome and preparation for longevity and gauge based off of risk factors, stuff like that. And it's all like automatic. It's pretty cool that, I adjust accordingly to whatever the environment and the desirable outcome have and what's the best model to function inside of. And it's fascinating to me because I'm not sitting back needing to run some sort of complex formulatic thinking in order to get to a specific outcome or a conclusion. It's just this automatic switching. It's pretty neat. Anyway, so I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, okay, how many people have that kind of thinking freedom, and how they can, switch between different perspectives so that they can, elicit the best outcome. And you know what? This is a great one because how did I get where I'm at? And it's a lifetime of thinking, and as a young person, I was told often that I thought too much, that I, overanalyzed all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, even then, when I was told that I thought too much, my immediate was, I think people think too little. Now, beautiful thing about it is that it's not constant and a continuous analysis, paralysis by analysis. It's not that at all. It's actually, I move pretty quickly through things. It's pretty fascinating when it comes to that. But then again, there's things that I obviously slow down and calculate about a lot more, depending on frequency that I've experienced that thing, what kind of innate skills are activated to support the confidence of an outcome with the appropriate amount of caution based off of similar experiences that I've had in the past, things like that. So, but what I want to talk about today specifically, to get back to that and using that as just a cushion or kind of a framing tool, if you will, to continue to have this conversation is, how do we create our own prison, our own servitude to others in our life? You have some people that life is their game, and they're going to play it their way. They're going to do it their way. And really, you don't really notice anything that would have the consequences that most people are over measuring or taking into consideration. And the other person, the person of interest in this statement is, they're just like, no, I don't care. It's fascinating to me, because then you have to get into, what is that position? Why don't they care how other people feel about the situation? And what was it that had their decisions get to that point that they actually don't? And there's something truly interesting and almost majestic about these people. They stand out because they're rare. You don't come across them very often. You typically come across people that are more calculating their behaviors so that they can elicit the right kind of outcomes based off of their relationships with other people, which changes how they can get to experience life, because they have to experience life based off a pattern of behaviors that have become the accepted and expected behaviors that they will have to abide by. So that's how you know somebody, is you know them based off of behaviors and traits and things that you have an expectation to some degree. Immediately when you meet people, you start looking for behaviors and traits so that you know whether or not this person could be a person that gets you closer to some goal, or it has some sort of outcome that you may be interested in. And a lot of that can be, hey, I just want more friends. And then you're looking for people that have those traits, or when somebody shows up with traits that you typically do enjoy being around, your options to open up to a new friend becomes, prevalent, or considerable, if not prevalent. Then you're open to those things, but you're being measured and you're measuring. You have to judge people in order to understand whether or not they fit in your clan, if you will, or they fit into your social groups or your preferences and behaviors. What is it about them that makes you want to be around them? That's an economy of traits and behaviors and characteristics. But how many of those things become expected? And most of them are expected, actually. That's why the person that I mentioned first stands out, is because they will do things at times that seem unexpected because they're true to themselves, no matter what. And they will oscillate into these different patterns of behaviors, like adjusting according to, optimism and pessimism, which is tribalism in that, which, thank God, we've kind of moved away from that to a degree in society, because that was horribly chaotic. We should be able to actually oscillate based off of specific criteria, but when you over-focus and try to create something out of being ingenuous or lacking integrity because it's not sincere, there's problems that follow. So when you have these patterns of acceptable behavior that has associated you with somebody that you care enough to call them a friend or a close acquaintance or something like that, then there's an expectation of a continuation of those behaviors. Perfectly fine if it's is on the standard trajectory to who you actually are, which is the first person that I had mentioned, or the type of person that I had mentioned, the one that doesn't care what other people think. Is, that doesn't seem like it. They make the declarations, their actions seem to align with it. Then there's the other people that do care about what other people think, and then they do seem to test the waters of conversation so that they can have a relationship develop between that person and someone else, or several people. They're looking for acceptance. They're looking for, things that help bring them into the group. Predominantly it's just acceptance, but varying different types of acceptance, but that's what they're typically looking for. That's one of the key pieces about what makes a group, is people are accepted into it. So with that, you'll have this insincere pattern of behaviors because you're testing the waters to find out what's acceptable and what isn't. Now, it doesn't mean that they're 100% insincere. If you look at sincerity as a kind of a spectrum, you can have like 90% sincerity. You do mean what you're saying to a degree, but you may introduce it in a way that is not quite properly presented to the other person. And the absolute truth of how you feel about something, you've coded it enough. We also call that often sugar coating, and which, it's deceiving another person to a degree. But it's not like this horrible vindictive deception. It's I just want you to like me, But the problem is typically that comes from the void of the individual saying, I don't like myself enough, or I need validation by other people like me. Not necessarily a guarantee, and that may be a little bit too deep or too esoteric for some people to actually wrap their mind around and want to push back on that. It's perfectly fine. That's the intent of this channel, is to get people thinking. But anyway, so with this, every time you have to put on an act, even if that act is slightly off of who you are, there's a stress associated with that. There's an energy demand of it, because you have to remember what was said. You have to stay extra vigilant. There's all kinds of things that are necessary in order to continue to maintain that belief about you. But it strips you of your actual autonomy, and it goes based off of the degree of how far off of the truest self, or your truest self, that is. So if you're 80-something%, you'll have a 20% stress factor, which for that particular subject, that particular aspect of your life, it actually might be fairly minuscule in the bigger picture of things, because that 1% might reflect an actual 0.003% or something. Just come up with something that makes it really, really, truly inconsistent, or unimpactful. because it's not that. But in the subject itself, it creates a stress factor. When you're outside of that subject, it only contributes to the bigger whole. So let's see here. Nope, they can't go. All right, excellent. Okay, so all right. Don't create a servitude for the option to be liked. It's work. It's consistent. And it's not always just liked, but I would say that if you want to get into a political group or you want to run for political office or something like that, you're constantly out trying to get people to like you, because people will vote for who they like. And often it's just the various different things that get them to vote, which is, what is it specifically about that person do they like? And they're looking for similarities. That's why you get a lot of the chameleon types that get into politics. They're truly not the same person consistently to everybody. They're the right person in front of as many people as possible, which has all of those challenges of insincerity equals lying. To some degree, but how much lying and all that stuff is another variable. So anyway, if you want to be a indentured servant in the relationships with other people category, then you're going to just continue to do what most people do. But for the person that doesn't typically care, I know some of those that are psych majors or whatever, they'll have the idea that the person that doesn't care may be a sociopath. Don't classify like that. Not for the purpose of this. There are those people that are not sociopaths at all. They're just, they just don't care what other people think, because they're true to themselves, and their position is often, you either accept me or you don't. And they're not going to bend their behaviors or their expectation of behaviors to meet somebody else's needs. So you either like them or you don't. I really appreciate those people. Even if I don't like them, I appreciate them. They may have traits that I don't want associated with me, or I want to keep at a safe distance. Really, it all comes down to the resources that you have, and those resources are not just money and or your skill sets. It's also, you've got time, you've got attention, you've got emotions, you've got relationships with other people, the rapport factors. All of those things fall into resources, and you can protect those because those are yours, and other people are intending to try to utilize resources to some degree to get closer to whatever goals they have. The people that I'm most cautious of are the ones that typically don't know what their goals are, because they're kind of just existing, but they're doing a lot of stuff, and it may seem fairly inconsistent when you're a goal-oriented person like myself. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop the channel. Stop the video for today. I'm at work, and it is time to get to it. One of the beautiful things about this life is that right now you can make the decision to make differences and changes to change your life to the point that you are at another level. Now, it is completely your call what you do with that. Start today. Make a decision. Choose one thing that you're going to focus on changing today. If you're not spending enough time learning, especially when it comes to what your goals are, then that can be the thing that you focus on. Find something that you're interested enough to add a little bit of time into developing. That could be through a podcast or a video. It could be through a book, whether that's an audio book or if it is a written book. It's whatever gets you there. Just take some time. Share this video with the people in your life that you want to start a conversation with, and or somebody that you feel would benefit from this. Like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. That does help. The more subscriptions I get, the subscribers I get, the faster I can get to the point that I can make this a higher priority. But at this point, it is still a high priority. This is a gift that gives, in my opinion, and this is also part of my legacy opportunity to make a difference. So with that, again, comment in the comment section if you got takeaways out of today and you'd really like to, contribute, or just that you like the videos and you feel it's a good job, whatever it may be. Do share the video with those people in your life you want to start a conversation with. Use this as a way of bridging and or inspiring that conversation, and see where it takes you. So Don't forget to like it too. That helps. All right. Well, until next time, I am Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. And this is the Maturity Project. We've got a world to change, but we really need to focus on ourselves first. Okay. All right. Until next time. See ya.